Happy Tuesday, everybody, and welcome back to Pardon Me While I Elevate. I'm Lucy. Okay, so the topic of today is going to be separating yourself and your wants from the needs and wants of your business. So, one of the things that I've realized in this lengthy process of becoming an entrepreneur is that it changes you, it evolves you. I've said this a couple times in like previous videos, but it really does. It sort of heightens you, and your thought process becomes very different than your previous thought process. You are weighing things out and you're contemplating things. It really evolves you and matures you in ways that I don't think a lot of other challenges can do. I mean, don't get me wrong, other challenges and other journeys do other things for you, but I think that when you are catering to something that you really want and something that you're trying to build, it's exactly that. You're building. And when you have this mindset of continuing to build something and laying those bricks, there's a profound amount of evolution that you go through in order to know how to lay those bricks, to maybe, measure twice, cut once type of thing. And no matter how much you can learn ahead of time, by doing the thing is what you're going to learn the very most from. So, um, learning by doing, trial and error, all those things are very fundamental in these processes. And once you commit to this mind space of being an entrepreneur and starting your own thing, you are entering into this whole new, like, constant movement. Your brain, your thoughts, everything is in constant evolution. It's like you lock into this concept that you're building something, and it's like it consumes you. You become like obsessed with it. And you have to lock in before this phase starts, right? It's not going to just like come overnight. But once you lock into that idea that you have and you can't wait to just like do it, every single minute of your whole day, it's so exciting, it's so enticing that all you want to do is think about it. So a lot of things get pushed to the back because it's this like new thing, it's this thing you could be good at, it's this thing you want to constantly be better at every single day. So one day you might have some process and you're really, passionate about it and it's feeling like it's going to work really well. The next day you could wake up and realize that there was a little bit of a flaw in your plan only because you were up at 2 a.m. thinking about it, and all of a sudden this like gem comes to your mind, and now you have this like new and better way of doing things. So um it brings a lot of light to understanding why maybe when you like start a family or get married or have these other really big commitments at the same time that you're starting a business, I cannot imagine how hard that would be, because you are quite literally so consumed with just like doing better and improvement so much. It's not even like your choice. It's just you like this thing so much that you want to be thinking about it. Every single thing that you see, all the shows that you watch and the people out in the world, and you know, I mean, there's just a million things. Anything can influence you to be like, "Oh my god, that person just did that thing, and wow, that's making me think about my own thing. Maybe I can do it more like that." So there's just this constant process, like I keep saying a million times, that your brain is now so excited and happy about the perspective of what you could create, what you could do, what your mind is capable of, that it's almost like you're in competition with yourself every single day to like know more and do better. So, um, you know, you become connected to this part of yourself that once might have felt really small. Like, let's say, you were inventive, or let's say you can help your kid with some project they have, or let's say you got creative about a solution for the dog you have, or something like that. There's this part of you that can problem solve or is good at certain creative aspects of things, but it's small. You have this you know, career, this corporate career, and you know how to do that, and there's not a lot of change and evolution over there. So when you come home, sometimes you're called upon for this little part of you to, you know, get that output. But now this little part of you is becoming so much bigger, right? So much more of your personality is making this little part much bigger because you need her or him much more now. And empowering that little part of you to say, I now need you to be in the spotlight, not my corporate career. Now this little part of me is in the spotlight and I want that for her. I've always been waiting for the moment that this little part of me can like be bigger and flourish and show her colors to the world. But it wasn't until I locked in and committed to my idea that all of these things just started to be easy and like flow, right? Become just like part of my thoughts all the time. And so, you know, you you almost develop this new version of yourself that you have catered towards this project. You are almost creating like a third person, right? So like you have you, and then you have this third person inside of your own mind that is like, it's not you, but it's also not you. It's like this business. It's almost like there's this practice in therapy where people that are very selfless and don't really focus on themselves or put themselves first, there's this theory where if you think about yourself in the third person and speak about that person, you can help that person. Like, for example, for me, it would be like, Lucy really feels sad today. Lucy needs some support. So, as a good person, as a selfless person, I want to help Lucy, my friend Lucy. So, it's kind of the same thing as that. You're like creating this third person to build and develop, right? But it's only a little bit you, and the rest of it is truly like a third person, but it's like inanimate. The thing is, it still has to build and grow and have confidence and have, you know, success and wins, all these things, right? So it is kind of like a person. It's like easy to help it grow when there's life in it, right? So you're empowering and creating this persona that you now get to be like the mom or the dad of in order to raise this thing up. So a lot of the times, if you think about yourself as the mom or the dad of this third person, it's got you in it, right? But it's not you. It's its own sort of entity. And you can influence it, you can help it, but it is going to have these natural organic ways that it kind of can flow towards you or flow away from you. And you're just kind of helping it flourish, right? Um, Once you get to this place where you can understand that it's like this third person that you're helping create, you understand that you are influencing it, like I was saying before, but it's going to bring you on paths that you might not go on for yourself, right? So it's going to push you and it's going to challenge you and it's going to open your mind and your world to a lot of different things that you might never have had without it. But it's not just you. Okay. So um, there's this concept where we need to like honor that third person. We need to make sure that that third person is has got everything that it needs and can function on its own and you know, create a flow of its own. And you are maybe the one with the whisk creating that flow, but it is flowing, right? So it's easy to know what, you know, like you want when something is really exciting. Like, oh, I want to go this way and I want this for it. And when it's really, really exciting, it's easy to like choose. It's easy to make choices. But, you know, it's also easy to hear somebody suggest something and then just be like, oh yeah, we should do that. We should like go for that. And this excitement that builds around, you know, like choices can you can kind of get a little drunk on it, because in corporate, it's almost like a lot of people within corporate, especially if you're not like in a managerial position, you want to, even if you are sometimes too, but like you want to make decisions. You feel like have worked this job for so long and you know what the decisions should be. You might even have like an intuition about what good changes could be made, and you want to make decisions for change, but you're not always empowered in those moments to make those changes or decisions just in general. And so once you start your own thing, you're like so empowered to make these choices and these, like you kind of want to just flow. And again, once you're in this exciting stage where it's all you, there's no team, nobody else is helping you make choices, it's just you. And this can help you to have trust in yourself and to, you know, give yourself more leadership within your own brain. But you also have to deeply remember that it can also get you caught up, and you can like by mistake prioritize what you want over what the business needs. So we always have to just make sure we're paying attention to the difference between those things, because you know if something is presented in front of me and I'm so excited about getting this thing off the ground and seeing how it's going to go and whatever, I might be like kind of skipping little steps along the way just so that I can like launch it and see how it feels, see how it does all these things. And you could make decisions on a whim. And while in somebody's personal life, especially someone like an earth sign where we are very like, we're big planners, we like to have a blueprint of what's going to happen maybe before it happens, and we like to think about what's going to go wrong so we can like fix it before it happens, things like that. But so I say that because sometimes making decisions on a whim or being like, free and adventurous, spontaneous, all these like good words could really benefit you in your personal life, especially someone like I said who's more of a planner. Those whim decisions can be really good for someone that's like a super planner and doesn't have a lot of spontaneous decisions in their life. But for a business, that's not really always the best choice, especially for like the fundamentals of the choices, like the beginning and the first successes and the first wins. You want to have thought out decisions and thought out processes, especially, the first couple, because if you don't realize like how much money you're spending, or like how much time time and effort that you're putting into this thing, or like the profitability of what you're creating. Maybe you could make something way cheaper for like less effort or whatever, like things like that. You got to think about transportation and like what outfits you're going to wear, and like I mean there's a million things that have to factor in that sometimes we really don't even think about. Like even me, right? Being on camera right now, I want to make sure I'm on episode 14 right now. And I want to make sure that I have an outfit on, at least, that you can see, that's not the same as episode 2. And it's not like, oh my God, someone's going to think that I can't go shopping or I don't have more than 14 shirts. But like, it's how you want to present, it's how you want to show up. And if it's you in your business attire, you representing your business, you want to make sure that you can get dressed to the nines when you want to. And you want to make sure that you don't show up all sweaty because you had to take the subway that day, or like all sweaty because you had to lug all of your stuff to sell it somewhere or to show up somewhere. You want to be able to take the Uber, and you want to be able to have a little money set aside so you can take the Uber to and from maybe where you're going. So there's just so many things to factor in, and making decisions on a whim can be good for like, you know, very small things, especially in the beginning. But these cycles, these fundamentals, these like, how do I do this? And how do I do this? And this is going to impact this. And it's like this cycle of you being very smart, being very calculated, planning things out, knowing what this is going to feel like, knowing what that's going to feel like. Trial and error is like so important. And don't get me wrong, like we're going to mess up, especially in the beginning. And sometimes we're going to be a little lazy and we're maybe going to choose the thing that costs a little more. But when we do that, we have to make sure we've been smart enough that we can pull the cost from another little part within our business to cover that laziness for one day so that we can be lazy. Because otherwise, you can't afford to be lazy. You cannot. And there's literally no cutting costs because otherwise, you're going to eat into your personal money, right? So there's just a lot of things that separate what you want from what your business needs. And this is just such an important thing that I have learned in the multiple businesses that I have started and been able to run. And I cannot stress just how much this is going to be an important thing throughout the beginning and the even mid stages of your business. Because the second that you grow, the second you have like new processes and new things that you want to take on, this kind of process starts again. Because if you add something into the process, you got to switch things around and you got to replan, right? So it's not just like oh, once I have a well-oiled machine, I'm done and I know how to do it perfectly. It's like I said about being an entrepreneur, like your brain is always moving. You're always thinking to yourself, how can I do better at this? How can I be more efficient with this? How can I bring this higher and do more, right? So while those thoughts are really, really good, you should be thinking like that. That's like amazing, right? At the same time, we also want to be very mindful that those things are going to be very helpful in helping you to separate yourself from your business. For example, in my business, right? The cookie business, we'll just say, for example, because it's like the newer and more exciting one for now. So if I was to go to the store right down the street, 2 blocks away, because I needed some butter, I know, because I've gone to the store, I know that 2 sticks of butter in a package is about $5, $6, somewhere in that range. Okay, 2 sticks. And if I go to Costco, 12 sticks of butter is about $11.50, somewhere in that range for the butter that I get. Now, if you can think about it like that, how much the cost per cookie would go up if I were to just go to the grocery store every single time I needed butter, it's not worth it. Sure, it's right there and it's super, super easy and, cuts my time and all these things, right? But for that money, I'm going to Costco every single time. Are you kidding me? Yeah. I am going to go the distance. I am going to put in that work because it's not even comparable price wise. Like, holy moly. So, um, the other example is if I bake cookies the night before I sell them, then I can package them and leave them on the counter ready for the next day of sales. Now, I can sell them that day, and whatever cookies don't sell, I can put in the freezer and they'll preserve their freshness for the next sell day that I have. Usually, I do not have back to back sell days. So, the freezer is a huge component of freshness and helping me with my business. Now, if I cook cookies, you know, a couple days beforehand, I'm going to cook them, package them, and put them right into the freezer once they're cooled to preserve freshness because I'm not cooking or selling them the very next day. So that means that if I take them out of the freezer for sell day, I only have that sell day to sell them to preserve freshness unless I'm doing back-to-back sell days, which I just was saying that I usually don't do. So if I cook the cookies the night before, I sell them that day, and then whatever I don't sell goes into the freezer, and then I can sell them for a second day later on in the week. But if I cook them ahead of time and I put them in the freezer, I only have one sell day because I cannot freeze the cookie twice. Now, from my perspective, like I don't want to be up super late cooking those cookies the night before. Me personally, Lucy, that wouldn't be my preference. But this is my business and I have to do the thing that's right for my business, right? And so it varies on what I do, but I would so much prefer to cook the cookies the day or the night right before I sell the next day so that I have the optimum amount of sell time per cookie and I don't have to throw any cookies away. I don't have to sacrifice the ingredients that I purchased. There's no real like money being thrown away if I dedicate myself and do that process. But the logistics that I learned through trial and error are the only way I got here, because I'm thinking to myself, okay, I'm going to cook these cookies and I have to cook 4 double batches tonight. So I have all my flavors and I'm ready to go and stocked to the nines. And then I realized that I just took 55 cookies out of the freezer. And what if I don't sell 55 cookies? Like, oh my God, what have I done? So again, trial and error is the only reason that I got here. But the choices that I would make for my business and the choices that I would make for my personal in these 2 examples of like going to the store to get the butter or going to Costco and then the freezing as opposed to not freezing. These are 2 very good examples of what I would do for my business and what I would do for my personal. Because like for my personal, thinking about like buying, $12 worth of butter for like a double batch, it's like whatever, like I have to go through this anyway. So but when you're thinking about business costs, you're thinking about how much you're spending on materials, how much you're getting paid per hour to bake the cookies, your own pay per hour, right? And then how much you're getting paid per hour to go sit out there and sell. So if you're factoring in all these things per cookie, you are not going to do that. You're just not. For your business, it makes absolutely no sense. You are getting more efficient every single day. You are making sure that you don't waste anything. And like I was saying before, just these steps cannot be always assumed before you do it. And sometimes the pain points in the beginning are the things that make you learn the fastest and the best, because money's not free, and not having enough money or not having a ton of money to have freedom in these choices is a huge motivator to get these processes under control right away. And unfortunately, that means that there's not a lot of decisions made on a whim, which again can help somebody that's not that structured or not super structured to become more structured. For someone like me, structure is like very much something that I lean on and is something that really helps me out through life. So it's not a big deal for me, but making mistakes is hard for me. So when I have to throw cookies out or when I have to give cookies away for free, it can be like a pain point. But then again, I'm like, okay, I have cookies at the end of my sell day and I'm going to go walk around Brooklyn with my dogs. I take them on a walk every single night and it's a pretty long one. And I'm going to just hand out my cookies as samples. I'll just find a random person and give free advertising out, tell them where I sit, tell them what I do. And now it's not just my little neighborhood that I'm sitting and selling cookies. Now more far and wide people around Brooklyn can know about my cookies and maybe come back and get more if they liked the sample, or like find me on Instagram or like whatever, just the marketing you're doing yourself. Now, yeah, it's really, it becomes dedication to your craft to not have to overspend or not throw anything away. It's the dedication to the third person, right? And yourself, right? But it's your business's money. It's your time, right? It's your time and effort, but it's your business's money. And it's this thing that you're fostering and you're trying to help grow. So you don't want to do anything that's going to hinder it. So it is mostly for that like third person. Um, and it's much easier to think to yourself that, every once in a while I'll go down the street and I'll just buy butter. Like whatever, fuck it, right? And there are going to be shortcuts that you can find throughout the process. It's not like everything has to be hard and everything has to be like so grueling, but sometimes in the hard places we find what's worth it and what's not, right? So if something is like devilishly not worth it, okay, maybe we can find another solution. Like for example, when I first started this, I went to Costco and I got flour. And obviously you can think about Costco, you have to buy like 20 pounds of flour at a time. So massive bags of flour, sugar, like brown sugar. Then you have to get butter. All these things are very heavy. Eggs, and 1 case of eggs at Costco is 2 dozen. So I got 2 of those. Anyway, if you think about how much I'm lugging, I assessed once I bought all of that stuff, and chocolate chips too. I assessed once I bought all of that stuff that I could not lift my little wheelie bag. I couldn't do it. So I was going to try my very best to walk as far as I could from the Costco location, as far as I could without dying, because it was 94 degrees that day. And I had things that could spoil or melt or both. um, anyway, so I tried to walk as far as I could before I got in the Uber so that I was not spending as much as I would have been if I had gotten picked up at Costco. Now, I made it about 30 blocks, which is really good. Okay. Like props to me, but I was dying. I was exhausted. I was sweating from head to toe. My bag is black. So it was just pulling the sun down on it. And it just it was not a good choice. I was trying to push myself to not spend a lot of money. And in the beginning, I didn't have it. So I needed to do that. Um, the reason that I'm saying that I walked is because if you can't lift the bag, you can't go down or up the subway steps. So that's out if you have too heavy of a bag. Um, but as time goes on, you realize that if you're a member at Costco, you can get things shipped to your house for free. Okay. Now you don't have to lug flour back and forth, sugar back and forth, all your dry ingredients like that. You don't have to do that. You can get it mailed to you, which is great. It's super awesome. But then you're going to have to go back to Costco and get the butter and the eggs and the chocolate chips because, they melt in shipping. And so there's still a process and you will get to know it well. But in my personal life, walking my wheelie bag to the train that's further away from me than the one I use every single day, getting on that train, only having to switch to another train, go like a ton of stops on that train, get off that train, and then walk another 10 minutes to the Costco, load up my stuff, come back to the train, like pick this big ass thing up, go down the steps, do the transfer again, only to lift this really heavy thing back up the subway steps on the other side and then walk again that 15 minutes home. By the time I get home, I'm like, why am I even doing this? Like, fuck this shit, That's personal Lucy. Personal Lucy would be like, nah, I'm good, bro. Like, count me out of this one. We're good. But business Lucy, doing this for the business, the third party in my brain that I'm building, I will do the hard thing. I will put in some manual labor because it's going to help me get paid more. It's going to help my costs go down. And if I have to sacrifice a little bit of heavy lifting, well, that's what it takes. And I was kind of raised like the second boy in the family anyway, so we'll be just fine. And you know what? Actually, I retract that statement because girls are much stronger, okay? Um, we'll do it. If your mind over matter, right? If your mind knows that you can do that thing and you have the dedication because you love this thing you're building and you have all of this motivation to just like kill it every single day, you're doing that. You're just doing that. And people might look at you and being like, oh my God, you're so crazy. Like, that's so much. That's insane. And, and when I first got the wagon that I take my dogs for a walk in every single day, people on the street would be like, dude, you in this wagon. I can't believe how dedicated you are. Yeah, it does seem like a lot. I understand why it looks like a lot, but it works so well. My dogs would not be able to go as far without this wagon. I would not be able to have the joy in these long walks every single day without this wagon. So you do what it takes. That's the point, is you do what it takes. Now, the efficiency that you find within your process is not always like manual labor being left out. The efficiency in the process is usually to do with cost, time, right? So you have to think about your day and structure your day in a whole different type of way. So it's like, sure, yeah, maybe that means waking up in the morning and preparing my dog's food for them, taking them on a walk, bringing them back, getting my wheelie bag, lugging it to the train 15 minutes away, going all the way to Costco, getting all my shit, getting back on the train, lugging it back, only to get home and rest for like 20 minutes, feed the dogs again, bring them on another walk. And the night walk's usually like 2 to 3 hours that we're outside just enjoying life, only to do all of that manual stuff to come back and then bake until like 3 a.m. Maybe that's what it means. Maybe there's so much effort put into your day manually that it seems like you don't want to do it. But when you have this passion and dedication, like none of that shit even really matters. Like you'll do it because you only have to do it every so often. And you're seeing what your costs are. You're seeing how much you get paid per hour once you've done all of those things. Your dogs are happy. They're fulfilled. They have enrichment, all this stuff. You're seeing your friends out there with their dogs. You're having a good day. And you're not even really thinking about the mental or the emotional or the physical load of these things because the joy is higher than any of those things. And I'm not saying ignore those things because they're definitely part of the equation, but they're not the main character. The main character is you get to make more money, you get to have a better product, you get to have a consistent cycle that you can rely on. These things are just more peace of mind. And this is sometimes the price that we pay in the beginning, to get these systems down pat. And then again, like when I was outside, one day I was like walking my dogs in the morning, and I have a neighbor down the street who has a catering business of his own. And one day he was like, "Oh, why are you shopping at Costco? You should just go to Restaurant Supply." And he's like, "It's on Instacart. Like you can just go compare prices. It's like so much better. Maybe you'll get like 50 pounds of flour instead of 20 pounds of flour, and it can get delivered to you. Like you should just try that." And I'm like, "Oh, that's such a good idea. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna go on and see what the difference in price is and like see if I should switch to that because like getting everything delivered, that sounds amazing." And when I went on, I'm not saying that this Restaurant Supply doesn't, like Restaurant Depot is what it is. I'm not saying that they don't have good options, but Costco, you can get everything organic. You can trust the Costco's quality, which is like very, very important to me. And at the end of the day, yeah, sure, I could get these items from Restaurant Depot at a cheaper price, but 40 cents a cookie as opposed to $4 a cookie is really good for me. And also, everything's organic except for the chocolate chips because they're hard to source that way in large quantities for a reasonable price. So, I love to get these ideas from other people. I love that people are walking in. People walk up to my table all the time giving me tips and tricks and all this stuff. I love to get that. Personally, I love to get that. But once I've gotten this advice, I sit back with my third person and I think to myself, is this right for my business? Is this the best choice for what I'm doing and what I'm building? And if it's not, I just simply don't do it because I have her best interest in mind, not, "Oh, this is like the cheapest possible way I can do it and the cheapest, I should just do that." I still very much care about my product. I still very much care about what I'm selling. And I don't want somebody to come to my table and be like, "Hey, like, where do you get your ingredients from? Like, are these good ingredients? Like, whatever." And I'm like, it's just the cheapest thing I could find in the biggest quantity. No, I want to be able to be like, every single thing down to the vanilla and the cinnamon and the tiniest little ingredients, the eggs, everything is organic except for the chocolate chips. That's a huge, huge thing to be able to say. And coming from Vermont and understanding food, and my father used to own a restaurant, understanding these things is a huge part of caring about what you're putting into the world. So I just can't stress this enough. And, I think back to like this corporate Lucy, right? This version of myself when I worked in corporate, and like corporate Lucy thinking about someone saying to her like, "Oh yeah, you got to go lug all your stuff and go to Costco and get all this stuff and sweat your ass off and get back on the train up and down and transfers and all this stuff." Mind you, the transfer that I do at the train station is not like across the platform. It's like down 3 flights of stairs, like around the corner, up another, like no. Okay. And the station of the transfer doesn't have an elevator where I need it to go. So that's another really fun thing. But just like getting back to it, the corporate Lucy would have been like, "Yeah, fuck that. I'm not doing that. I'm not even gonna entertain it." Like literally when I was at my last job before I like just became an entrepreneur on my own journey, if they asked me to go to a meeting in the city, I was billing lunch to the company. You know what I'm saying? Like any minor inconvenience was not my problem and it was going to get covered because like, no thanks, this is not my business. I did not choose this, right? So again, you evolve, you become this creature of like the differences between what you're willing to do when it's your operation and what you are willing to sacrifice or do when it's someone else's thing that you're just simply an employee of, and you're not like going to put in manual labor for them. Like, forget that. That's not in my job description. I didn't sign up for that. I want to sit and work at a desk every day. That's what I signed up for at corporate. Meet with people or whatever, do my job. Lugging things back and forth and standing and doing all this manual stuff, including what I have to do for the dogs, and then coming home and baking super, super late at night just so that I can have freshness for the next day. Like, these are only labors of love that you would do for something that you are so excited to watch grow, that you are so excited to help flourish. And maybe the company that you're trying to start, or the avenue that you're going down, doesn't have anything to do with food, or it doesn't have anything to do with baking or like these big processes, but guarantee you that there's going to be a lot of late nights. There's going to be a lot of nights where you lay up and you're like thinking and thinking and thinking, like all of a sudden this like amazing idea just pops into your head and you have to like get up and write it down, or like you want to get going right away. And those wee hours of the night, or if you're a morning person, those wee hours of the morning are like, they become such a gift because they give you this like moment. And now you have this whole new evolution of what you're trying to create and what you're trying to build. So, um, I can't stress to you enough the difference between wanting something for yourself and wanting something because it's going to help your business in the long run. And it's very, very important that you draw those lines from the very beginning, because when you create this third person, that's not you. It's got some influence from you, but it is its own entity and it needs its own things. And you don't always know what's best for it. You can only do your best. And every single day you're going to learn and things change for it sometimes faster than you're ready to change yourself. So if you just rock with what's making sense and flowing and working for the business. Like, I didn't want to have to do a flavor of the week for my cookies. That just, it's like so much extra work on top of all the other shit. But that's what's going to work. You know what I'm saying? I have to get inventive. I have to do all of these things to entice people to try new things and to see how many cookies I'm good at making. And I'm not just like a one trick pony, right? So I don't want to do that as a personal thing. I just want to cook the 2 cookies I'm really good at making, but like, what? No. So separating those things out is going to be a game changer, and creating this third person that you're helping out is going to help your brain separate the 2 things and help you to thrive in your endeavors. And I wish you nothing but success and a wonderful journey of learning as you go, trial and error. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Talking to myself on that one too. And don't be afraid to just like do the thing, because you are going to learn from it. And the processes are going to be something that are truly for your business. And you are the one that's pioneering, figuring that out. So don't be shy and don't be scared to be the leader in that way. Okay, so this is a good one. I really like this topic. If you guys need any help with this, as always, that I own a company called Nectar Brand Therapy, and I would love to help you with any of these things. If you need it, you can reach out to me here. But in the meantime, have a great week, and I'll see you next week. Okay.